This month, we have a lot of planets shifting directions or moving into new signs of the zodiac. All of this, an empowered moment and more in my new intuitive energy forecast for the month of November 2025. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, starseed astrologer and spiritual messenger, here with your monthly intuitive energy forecast. For this month, we're going to be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. That's going to be the main message for everyone this month. And then for our special message card, depending on our stone of choice, we're going to be using the Priestess of Light Oracle deck by Sandra Ann Taylor and Kimberly Weber. So before we get into looking at those stones of choice or talking about the astrology or numerology of the month, let's go ahead, close our eyes, take a deep breath, exhale, and let's do an empowered moment. So start by visualizing golden white light all around you. And this is the golden white light of Source, God, Creator, all that is. This is the golden white light of unconditional love, compassion, peace, guidance, protection, and healing. And as you see or sense or feel or just know that you're surrounded in that golden white light, take in a deep breath, breathing it into every cell of your bodies. As you exhale, letting go of all that your body, mind, and soul no longer needs. This is going to be a month of many shifts and changes, a lot of transitional energy, transformation energy, and death and rebirth energy. So this is a time where you want to consider, as we near the end of this year, what more do I want to release and let go? What more do I need to heal within myself? What do I want to claim and call into my life? Where do I wish to see the energies of transformation and regeneration? So contemplate those areas, those situations, those circumstances, those aspects of your shadow self that still need healing, where you call in the energies of the powerful death and rebirth, where you allow transition and transmutation to take place in your life. And let's take in a deep, healing, cleansing, and balancing breath, calling in whatever our higher soul self is ready to lead us to realign us to transition us to. As you exhale, when you feel ready, you can open your eyes, return to this time and place and space. Let's go ahead and take a look at our stones of choice for the special message card a little bit later. So the first stone of choice is lazulite. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but the bottom part of this is more of a blue color, and the top of it actually is a bit of a gray color. So the lazulite is going to be a stone of mental focus, inner peace, spiritual insight. It stimulates the third eye chakra and our higher intuition with that blue part of the stone. And this is also a great stone for emotional balance. Our second stone of choice, stromatolite. I had to look at how to even say that. Stromatolite. Isn't that cool? It's kind of this brown stone, chocolate brown stone with all these kind of black swirls in it. And the stromatolite is a stone of grounding and stability. It is a stone of transformation. It helps us to release old energies, encourages confidence, and it helps to connect us to ancient wisdom. And then our last stone of choice, this is called polychrome jasper. So polychrome jasper. And this is a stone that assists us with security and grounding and emotional balance. It helps to foster creativity, gives us comfort in times of change, and it also provides us with hope, courage, and a sense of persistence. So again, our stones of choice, we got the lazulite. Whoops. Uh-oh, we hit the camera. We're just going to keep on going here. Got the lazulite. Oh boy. And we've got this stromatolite. Let's try not to hit the camera again, right? And we've got the polychrome jasper. Okay. Now, let's talk about the energies of November. And, you know, we're almost near the end of this year, right? And 2025 is a 9 universal year, a year of completion and closure and endings and releasing and letting go, as well as surrender, faith, and trust. And we take that 9 universal year energy, we add it to the month of November, which is the 11th month. And if we take 11 plus 9, it equals a 20, right? So we want to reduce that 20 down to a 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. So this tells us that this month of November is a month to reach out for support from other people. This is one-on-one relationships. So we're reaching out to friendships and family members and maybe even associates at work, but it's all about this sense of balance, harmony, cooperation, compromise, this one-on-one give and take that we're, looking for in all of our relationships, this equality and equilibrium and balance that we're looking for in all of these relationships. So there is a focus on partnerships in all kinds. And that could be, again, romantic and friendship and business-wise. But if we look at the number 20, because when we added the 11th month, November, to the 9 energy of this universal year and got the 20, and we liken that to the Judgment card, because the Judgment card in the tarot is the 20th Major Arcana. So the number 20 by itself, it's not a master number, it's not a karmic number, although it does have that 0 in there, right? And 0 is about divine protection and guidance in numerology. So we have divine protection and guidance in the area of reaching for this sense of equality in our relationships, or attaining this sense of balance and harmony within ourselves and the relationship with ourselves. There's divine protection and guidance there. Spirit is kind of leading us towards forming new relationships and partnerships, or a new way of having this equality and equilibrium and balance within our partnerships. So there's that divine guidance of the 0. But going back to the Judgment card, Major Arcana 20 in the tarot, in this deck, the Syrian Starseed Tarot, it's called Karma. This is Major Arcana 20. And so judgment, in this case, karma, is kind of giving you an idea of what it's all about. Now, it's not about judgment. It's not about having judgment or experiencing judgment. The Judgment card in the tarot is kind of like a call to attention for your soul. Usually in the traditional tarot, it's going to show Archangel Gabriel blowing his horn. And in that, it's sort of like calling the soul to attention. Hey, have you learned what you needed to learn thus far in your soul's journey? Is there still something that you need to pay attention to? We're calling the soul to attention so that you pay attention to, have the awareness of what it is that you need to. Now, also in the traditional judgment card, it usually shows some souls kind of rising or ascending. And this kind of relates to all these different past lives that we had. This is about our past life challenges, our past life stories, things that we've carried with us from lifetime to lifetime that we've come here to move through, understand, have awareness of, and heal, to kind of balance out that karma in our lives. And so in this month of November, vibrating to this judgment card, to this card that in this deck is called karma, this is going to be a big time of being able to balance that out, to release that, to let that go, to heal that. And in this particular card, I always see this shape back here. This is like in the water in the ocean. First of all, there's kind of a heart-shaped energy here. And so we're needing to connect with our heart chakra, our unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness. Yes, maybe for others, but especially for ourselves. Have that unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness for yourself. You've been through a lot. You've worked through a lot. Have grace for yourself, as one of my best friends have said recently to me. It's like, don't push yourself so hard or be so self-critical or self-judgmental. Have grace for yourself. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. We're all just souls moving through our own karmic lessons and challenges. We're all just souls on a soul journey, moving through certain situations that brings us higher and a more expanded awareness of our truth. So here's the lotus flower up above, shining our truth, well, not shining, but opening us up to our truth, our higher truth. The lotus is often associated with the crown chakra, so it's opening us up to that higher thought and higher wisdom of our truth. We could also maybe liken the lotus flower to the heart chakra of, again, that unconditional love for self and others. And then going back to this shape back here in the water, it always reminds me of a phoenix. I don't know why, but in this card, it always, to me, speaks of that phoenix energy of rising from the ashes, born anew. And the judgment card, the karma card here, it's the second to the last of the major arcana before we get to the world card. The world card, being major arcana 21, the last of the major arcana, is the end of the soul journey, the end of the cycle. And it's not the end, because after the world card, we just circle back around and we come back to the fool card, major arcana 0, and we start a new journey. So we're almost close to the end of a journey here with the judgment card, the karma card. And this is about, again, let's clear out some more old stories. And this is a lot about our emotions, how we feel about ourselves, feel about life, situations and circumstances, because water is related to the emotional body, the emotional realm. So this is a very powerful card. It's a very powerful time. It's a very powerful month in moving through things. And I think all of these planets shifting into new signs and the retrograde motion and the direct motion with some of them are going to indicate a lot of shifting within ourselves. All right, so let's put that aside here. And let's talk about the astrological highlights for the month of November. So we start on the 4th of November with Mars, the warrior planet, planet of energy, action, and forward movement, moving out of the realm of Scorpio, because right now the sun is in Scorpio. So Mars was in Scorpio, which was very passionate, very fixated on the goal. And Mars is a fiery planet, but Scorpio, where it was up until the 4th of November, is water. So what happens when you put fire and water together? It kind of brings this transmuting of something and a transformation of an element into another element. It becomes steam, right? If we put a pot of water on the stove and we light the flame underneath it, steam kind of rises from it. So this is about this new kind of energy that's being formed. But now Mars is moving into fire sign Sagittarius. So it's going to be much more at home here. We've got a fiery planet about energy, action, and forward movement, moving into this optimistic, inspirational, fiery sign of Sagittarius. So let me say that we're going to get up and go. because Mars in the water sign of Scorpio was a little bit slowed down in its forward movement. Things were taking a little bit more time. In fact, Mars's energy was being put towards the emotional realm, because Scorpio, being a water sign, is the emotional element. Now it's going into this fire element, which is the element of spirit. So now our energy, action, and forward movement is really expanding us, which is a key word for Sagittarius, expansion. It's expanding us into inspiration. It's expanding us into spiritual wisdom and knowledge. It's expanding us into universal concepts. And it's expanding us into a sense of freedom and liberation, because Sagittarius is a sign of the zodiac that rules freedom. And so Mars is like, da 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 da, you know, going with Gabriel's horn. It's really putting forth that passionate energy towards this sense of, I want my freedom, or what does freedom mean to me, or how can I attain freedom? And this could be spiritual freedom. It could be actual freedom as well. And then on the 5th of November, we have a full moon. The full moon is in Taurus because the sun is still in Scorpio and the moon is in the opposite sign of Taurus. It's at 13 degrees of Taurus. And Scorpio, where the sun is, it is considered a sign of other people's money and other people's resources. Taurus, where the moon is, creating this full moon, Taurus is a sign of your personal resources and your money and finances. Now, it does have a lot to do with a lot of other things, Taurus and Scorpio. It's not just about money and finances, but that is one of the things. So we might find that money matters, financial matters, new ideas to create more financial stability in our lives. That something's coming to a head with this full moon at 13 degrees of Taurus. Now, the other thing that Taurus is about our values, our self-value, how we value ourselves. It's our sense of self-worth. So this full moon in Taurus can also be bringing up matters of, how do you value yourself? Do you appreciate yourself? And with Venus being the ruling planet of Taurus, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough to value yourself, right? You are worthy and deserving. So whether in love or money matters or other matters, you are worthy and deserving of what it is that you desire. On the 6th of November, we have Venus, planet of love and relationships, but also the planet that rules money and finances, also the planet that rules our sense of self-worth and our values. She's moving out of her home sign of Libra, where she was very comfortable and very focused on relationships. Now she's moving into the sign of Scorpio until November 30th. And so this is going to bring in more of maybe the matters of security, the money, the finances, other people's values, other people's, resources. That's what she's going to kind of focus on. Now, Venus is a very kind of attracting sort of planet. She is a planet of blessings. She is a planet of attraction. And in Scorpio, she's very magnetic. So the feminine energy, the divine feminine archetype of Venus is very magnetic in Scorpio. So this is about you attracting to you what it is that you desire. Desire is another key word of Scorpio. So you have this manifestation capability, and you have it all the time, but now it's magnified while Venus is in Scorpio. And again, our focus is going to be maybe more on not personal resources, but financial resources, whether they're yours or others. And in relationships, because Venus is a relationship planet, there might be a focus on maybe some power and control issues, power and control challenges, being empowered in oneself while in relationship, because Scorpio is about power. And then on the 7th of November, Uranus, the Great Awakener, the planet of liberation, freedom, change, redirection, the unexpected. This is about expecting the unexpected. Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus. It's been retrograde for a little while now, but it started its retrograde motion in Gemini. And that was a new placement for Uranus because it spends about 7 years in a sign. So it had just gone into Gemini, and it was kind of exploding the techno world, and it was exploding and magnifying and whatnot, new ideas and new thoughts and a new way to communicate or higher communications with other people or higher communications with spirit realm in general. But as it's been retrograding, now it's moving back into Taurus. And it's going to be in Taurus until April of 2026. April 25th, I believe, is when it goes back into Gemini. So it's going to be retrograde for a few weeks in Taurus. I think it goes all the way back to 27 degrees Taurus, if you know your chart and you want to know where that is. And then I didn't put down when it turns back to direct motion, but it's in the beginning of 2026 at some point. And then it's going to take some time, some weeks, before it moves back into Gemini, the sign of Gemini for good, at least for the next 7 years. And that again is going to be latter April of 2026. So what does that mean? Uranus moving back into Taurus. So I feel like there's going to be, again, something coming up. And because Uranus is one of those evolutionary, collective, ruling planets, there might be something regarding the economy of the collective, something about financial matters of the collective. And again, on a collective level, knowing that we're all, as a humanity, worthy and deserving of abundance in all shapes and forms. On the 9th of November, we have Mercury retrograde at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So Mercury has been slowing down the last week or two. It's been in its shadow since latter part of October. And now when we might have already been seeing some miscommunications and some technology glitches and things like that, from, probably before, I think it was around the time that the sun went into Scorpio. So maybe around October 21st, 22nd is when it went into its shadow. But then it slowly went into Sagittarius from Scorpio. And now at 6 degrees Sagittarius, it turns retrograde. And it stays retrograde until November 29th, almost the end of this month. And it does retrograde back into Scorpio. So matters having to do with higher education, higher learning, inspiration, networking, religion, philosophies, which is all Sagittarius, that's going to be up for a reevaluation. When it goes back into Scorpio, then we're also revising, reevaluating our power structures in the collective level, our own sense of empowerment within ourselves, secrets, things that are hidden, because that's Scorpio, and a great many other things. On the 11th of November, Jupiter turns retrograde at 25 degrees of Cancer. So Jupiter is a planet of abundance, prosperity, expansion, and opportunities. It likes to expand the energy that it touches. In Cancer, it's expanding situations regarding home and family matters, our kind of divine feminine, nurturing, mothering, empathic sort of connections with other people. It is probably more on a practical or global level, expanding situations that have to do with actual living situations, home situations. So, matters of people feeling emotionally secure within their living situations is probably something that Jupiter in Cancer has been bringing up. Now, as it goes retrograde, we're internalizing that energy and maybe starting to have a little bit more empathy for what other people are going through. We're expanding into our inner intuition, especially, again, in home and family matters. We are perhaps becoming a little bit more nurturing, but also to ourselves, like nurturing and loving towards ourselves as well, because it's internalizing that energy as it turns retrograde. Jupiter, too, being a planet of opportunities and abundance, as it's retrograde now in Cancer, which it stays retrograde until March 10th of 2026, it is asking us to look at what are our internal belief systems about abundance and prosperity. What are our internal belief systems about opportunities being provided? Maybe self-made opportunities, but also opportunities that come from a higher source if we are aligned with them. So what are our beliefs regarding that? Do we have faith that opportunities and abundance, that we're worthy of them, that's coming to us, that we deserve that? So that's part of the whole retrograde experience as well. On the 18th of November, this is when Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio, which we already talked about. On the 20th of November, we have a new moon at 28 degrees of Scorpio. New moons are about new beginnings. Scorpio is about transformation, death and rebirth. So there's definitely a new beginning when it comes to this transitional energy, like a snake shedding its skin, that we're going through personally as well as on a collective level. On the 21st, the next day after that new moon, the sun is moving out of Scorpio and into the sign of Sagittarius until December 24th. So now the sun is shining its light upon all things that are Sagittarius: wide open spaces, expanded vision, inspiration, connecting with people far and wide, having faith and trust, and having that optimistic attitude that we can, bring in, create, manifest whatever it is that we wish to. And then on the 27th of November, we have Saturn turning to direct motion at 25 degrees of Pisces. So Saturn is the great teacher of karmic lessons. He rules responsibility. He can have this feeling or he does have this feeling of restriction and limitations a lot of times, but it is so that we learn something, learning whatever the quote unquote lesson is that Saturn is trying to teach us, taking responsibility for our lives, the decisions we make. And now that he's turning to direct motion in Pisces, we can start to see an external influence rather than this internal processing of the karma and releasing those restrictions that are self-imposed. Now we're able to use maybe more of the positive energy of Saturn in the realm of being our own inner authority and taking charge of our life, and also manifesting what it is that we desire. And the manifestation of Saturn in the sign of Pisces sometimes might seem a little elusive because Pisces actually rules things that are intangible or unseen. It rules the spiritual realm. But just know that the manifestation might take place first on a higher level, the spiritual level. But when Saturn moves back into Aries, and Aries being the first sign of the zodiac and a new beginning, we're going to have then the manifestation more on the material plane. And it doesn't mean necessarily that something can't manifest before it moves back into Aries, but just know that first it's manifesting on a different plane of reality, and eventually it will manifest in our waking, if you want to call it 3D world, although I want to say we're moving into 5D, that will eventually happen. And Saturn will go back into Aries after the 1st of 2026. So on the 29th of November, Mercury is turning back to direct motion at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And then on the 30th, the very next day, Venus is moving out of Scorpio and moving into Sagittarius, where she'll be until December 24th, the day before Christmas. So Venus moving out of Scorpio, and as she moves into Sagittarius, freedom is going to be the name of the game as far as within relationship matters and financial matters. She'll be inspired to be liberated and choose her own path and expand into new horizons. New horizons is a great key phrase for Sagittarius. So that's a little bit about what's going on astrologically. Let's go ahead and take a look at the messages from our angels and guides. The first card that came out was Major Arcana 8. This is the Strength card. And so usually we see the Strength card with a lion. This one has a tiger, still in the cat family, still can be ferocious. You see this tiger kind of roaring. It doesn't have to be, though, that it's angry or aggressive, but just like roaring as far as I'm taking back my power, right? The Strength card, being in this month of November, where we start out the month in a lot of Scorpio energy, this can be about us owning our power, taking back our power. And it could be from situations in our lives, but it can also be within our own belief systems or faulty mindsets or old emotional stories that we've been carrying with us. It's like, no, I have the confidence and the courage and the inner strength to take back my power and have this fiery passion and that motivating energy to be able to move forward. Now, another thing that this particular Strength card doesn't show that is usually in the traditional tarot card Strength is the infinity symbol. And the infinity symbol looks like the number 8. This is the 8th major arcana. But if you take the number 8 and you turn it on its side, it becomes the infinity symbol. So this is about balancing the masculine and the feminine and balancing many different aspects of our lives. And with all the shifts and changes and retrogrades and direct motion and planets going into new signs, we're probably going to need to kind of balance our way through all of that. You know, not to mention what might be going on in the collective as we move through the month of November. So we're balancing a lot of energies circumstantially and within ourselves as we hold that inner strength and inner confidence to move forward through whatever life is handing us. Okay, let's put that down. The second card, actually, when I was shuffling, it fell out, and it fell out in a reversed manner. So a lot of you that watch me know that I don't usually read a lot of reverse cards, but if they kind of flip out of the deck and they fall in front of my face and they're reversed, then I will more than likely look at that. And this is the Ace of Crystals. This is like the Ace of Pentacles, but it came out reversed. So the Ace of Pentacles is usually about a new beginning in material matters. Could be a new job, could be a new career, could be a new path, could be new financial opportunities, could even possibly be a new relationship, but more than likely it would be more like a new business relationship. But the crystal being of the earth, crystals are of the earth. This is Earth Pentacles crystals. This is about manifestation, manifesting something, again, tangible. But again, it's reversed. So it just might take a little bit more time than we would want. I don't think that it's not going to happen with this being a reverse card. I just think that we might have to have a little bit of patience, more than usual, in order to bring the manifestation of the new beginning. But the new beginning is coming. As to how long that's going to take, it's probably different for each one of us because we're all on individual paths, individual journeys. But know that this manifestation of this new beginning, of this crystal clear clarity of where we're going next or what we want to create in our lives, that is definitely coming. So have, again, that inner strength and courage to have the patience and the wherewithal to stay determined and persistent towards your goals, towards the manifestation of your goals. And then the last card, this is Major Arcana 15. It's called the Shadow. And in the traditional tarot, this is known as the Devil card. So it doesn't surprise me that this came up since we have Scorpio energy. The sun is in Scorpio. Venus moves into Scorpio. Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio from Sagittarius. And we have a new moon, obviously, in Scorpio as well. So this is about the shadow. Scorpio is about the shadow of the ego, the fears, the insecurities, the feeling held back, the being caught in this web of illusion, the trying to see through the darkness, you know, towards more of what is true and authentic and the light. So the Devil card, if you can kind of remember the devil energy, the shadow energy, it's not real. It's this illusion that we've created, the fears and the insecurities that we have that we might have been carrying with us from childhood or from other lifetime or past experiences. And so we're moving through with all this Scorpio energy. We're moving through this web of illusion. We're moving through the self-doubt. We're moving through the old fears. And, you know, we're moving through all of that to see it for what it is, just a projection of the fearful ego that's trying to knock you off course. So stay on course, stay balanced, stay in the light, move through these shadows of illusion. And it looks like there's actually two shadowy images here. So I think some of this energy, fears and insecurity energy, is in the realm of relationships as well. But we can move through it, right? We can move through it on a collective level. We can move through it on a personal level. Don't allow those fears, insecurities, or anxieties to overwhelm or overtake you. Remember, you are light. Remember your true and authentic sacred soul selves. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the message from the Priestess of Light deck, depending on your stone of choice. So the first stone of choice was the lazulite. All right, so we'll give this a little shuffle. Lazulite, people. Special message for the month of November for lazulite people. This one's calling my attention in the middle. And it says, ooh, hostilities, conflict, and unrest. So not all these cards in this deck have this kind of a shadow kind of message, but this one definitely does. We even have a Black Panther there representing like the shadow. And just like the tiger, that panther is kind of roaring. Here, though, it's more of a fiery of the light. Here, it's more of the shadow side of the ego. So in here, it even shows a full moon. So I'm going to say that full moon that we have in Taurus, where the sun is in Scorpio, which is at the beginning of the month. And the guides are saying it might carry us through to the new moon in Scorpio on the 20th of the month, where these inner hostilities, maybe external too. I see out in the world a lot of external hostilities playing out. But this could be also about these internal hostilities playing out within yourself, this conflict, this unrest. I mean, this definitely has a feeling of being both on a collective and a personal level. But yet, look at how the priestess is sitting. She's kind of, actually, I wanted to say she's kneeling next to the panther. But if you look, one leg is on one side of the panther. I'm going to assume the other leg is on the other side of the panther. She's sitting on the panther. She's kind of, in a way, squashing the hostility. She's squashing the conflict and unrest that is trying to rise up. And as she's sitting on it, she's raising her arms up to like towards that full moon and up towards the sky, where she is empowered in herself. She's taking back her power, which is what we talked about earlier with all the Scorpio energy. This is a time to take back your power. And this, through all the hostilities and the conflict and the unrest, this is about you owning your power, reclaiming your power, and taking your power back and not allowing these shadow qualities, in this case represented by the panther, which, by the way, I have to say, not always is the Black Panther a shadow aspect or representing the negative, because I really like Black Panther as a totem. But in this case, it's the shadow aspect of the Black Panther. So she's definitely kind of squashing that or nipping it in the bud, and she's rising into her own power. Okay, so put that back in the deck in case somebody else gets it. And the second stone of choice was the stromatolite. I always want to say strombolite, but it's stromatolite. Okay, so the special message for the stromatolite people. Special message for November for stromatolite people. This one's calling my attention. And this says go with the flow. This has a more easy flowing sort of message to it. She's got her hands over her heart chakra. She's in her heart chakra of unconditional love and compassion and forgiveness of self, which we also talked about earlier. And it says at the bottom, letting go, cleansing. She's cleansing away the old. And it also says receiving. So as she's releasing and letting go of what she no longer needs, she's also in the flow of receiving and attracting what she does desire. Remember, Scorpio is a sign that is very magnetic and very much attached to desire. So what is it that you desire? Focus on it, meditate on it, and then open your heart chakra to receiving it, allowing it in, right? But first we have to empty or let go of the shadow aspects and what we no longer need. It might be a situation or a circumstance. We need to let it go to create space to attract and let love or abundance or prosperity or opportunities to flow in towards us. We got to create that space so that we can allow that to come in, so that we can receive it. Okay? And then the last stone of choice was the polychrome jasper. Polychrome jasper, people, special message for the month of November for polychrome jasper, people. Okay, nothing's calling my attention. I'm going to close my eyes again. Polychrome jasper. Okay, this one's calling my attention here. And this says healing earth. And it says the power to give and receive healing. So it's got that feeling of giving and receiving, the balance of equality. And again, that flow of surrender and letting go of what you no longer need, and then being receptive to and allowing to, bringing in what you do need. But on not just a personal level, I feel like this card is indicating also on a collective level, on a world level, we're healing the earth. And they're saying right now that we're healing the earth by healing ourselves, by healing that aspect within us of giving and receiving equally, because some of us are givers and some of us are more receivers on this planet. But if we can balance that out so that there's equal give and take, that we're equally receptive to allowing a blessing or a gift to come in, but also giving our time, our love, and our nurturing, if we can balance that out, that's going to heal us within us, and then it's going to domino effect out and heal the collective one by one. If we can all, or some of us, if we can get there, it'll start to domino effect out without other people maybe even trying. Enough people kind of balancing that aspect of themselves within themselves is going to end up spreading, in a positive way. And you can see that she's got that light beam coming from her hand. So I want to say it might be important to give gratitude and appreciation to the world, to the plants, to the animal kingdom, to situations and circumstances, to opportunities that present themselves. Give that light and that love and that appreciation and gratitude out to things, out to the world, out to people you love. So I feel like as we give that appreciation and gratitude, that again will open up this dynamic of then receiving what we're giving out. So this could be more literal, where you're like volunteering, to help a certain group or population of people. This could be simply giving your kindness on a day-to-day level, giving kindness to people that you meet, strangers that you come across. This can be, again, actually doing healing work with the Earth's grid in different places in nature. And I feel like all of that included and more is going to, again, bring this sense of balance, of give and take. It's going to bring you healing as you send out healing, basically. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your love, light, comments, and support. I truly am grateful and thankful for each and every one of you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And I send you lots of love and light until we see each other next week or next month. Namaste, everyone.